Let's start from Vehine. So we're holding in mind Beha'alos'cha Haneros, Yud line 14. Yeah. Vehine Yadua. Vehine Yadua de'avo yavo. V'arotzin de'odom oev. What is avo? It's a personal feelings of a person. And therefore, what is love, right?
Yeah. Love's a feeling, isn't it? Which is interesting because you have the mystery of love Hashem. And it's, you have to instill the feeling in.
But he says it's avo is also connected with your rotzin. Meaning that you love something that you want.
Yeah.
You have to have a rotzin to it. It says, Velochen, since it's a personal thing, Gam kshav v'rotzin shelo shiyush shelo hu shiyush lam rotzin elyon. Even if your avo is so lofty that what do you love and what is your rotzin? That Hashem's will should be fulfilled, Hashem's will should be completed, to have a dwelling place, and the godliness will come down and will be revealed in the lowliest of worlds, and lowliest of places. Kol mokem, nevertheless, etzem inyan av v'rotzin mitzvus v'amitis inyan habitul. Kol mokem, etzem inyan av v'rotzin u'metzias. So it said, nevertheless, the concept of Ava and Rotzen is Metzias. It says you are the one that wanting it. You are the one that has this love. So what is Amitis Inyan Bitulu? What is the ultimate Bitul? Not when you have personal feelings. Ba'avid the Kabbalah says. So we touched it yesterday a little bit. That the serving Hashem with Kabbalah sale, with accepting the yoke of heaven, like a slave. It's all about Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe Avdi, Moshe my servant. So today, the title Eved, it might be title Eved might sound a little bit degrading to tell somebody a slave, but in Chassidus, Eved is one of the highest levels.
Right.
Because you serve Hashem, there's nothing there for you. The you is not in the picture. You are just a conduit for something, but it's not you per se.
That's a big deal because Moshe Abdi.
Right. Yeah, Moshe Avdi. I'm not here. I love Hashem. I want Hashem. No, it's Hashem wants me to do ABC. I do it. It's not. I'm not. Don't consider me too much. That's the idea of Kabbalah said accepting the yoke, whatever it is. Eved, the slave, when he does something, he feels. Who cares about how he feels? I feel this way. I feel that way. He does whatever he tells him to do. He does.
What's interesting, like in Tanya lately, we're learning that everything is from Hashem. We all know that everything is from
Right.
Hashem. What we think is good, bad, or indifferent is
Right.
so everybody is doing.
No, but the same chapter tells you that even for Moshe Rabbeinu, he did not comprehend the chesed of Atzilus and Gvura. All his understanding came through Bria. So meaning for Moshe Rabbeinu himself, there's a lot of things of Kabbalah says. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know, but Hashem's
right, exactly.
It's the will of Hashem. We do it. So
he told Nebuchadnezzar to do things too, you know.
Yeah. So a servant, everything he does because of the yoke of the master. And that's why he does Ratzonod, the will of the master.
Right.
So the Ismailas Abitul, the approach of a servant, the attitude of a servant, that does the Ratzon of his master without understanding, is the greatest one. They say this anecdote that two kings were arguing, wanted to fight a war.
Yeah.
He says, so why should we fight a war to see who is stronger? Let's take your best soldier, and I'll take my best soldier, and let them fight, and then see who is.
Whoever wins, that's it.
That means he's the strongest one.
Right.
So he said, how are we going to find out? He said, let's see who is more of a devoted soldier. Like which one is more willing to do more things for the king. So one king says to the soldier, jump out of the window. So the soldier goes and jump. The second king says to the soldier, jump out of the window. So the soldier says, which window? So which one is... That's a tricky thing.
Right.
Because they're both willing to jump. One jumped, but one did not ask a question to know exactly what is the rotzin of the king.
Right.
One wanted to know which window. You can say that the one who jumped without asking the rotzin of the king is greater because he says, I'm not here. He says, jump out of the window. I don't ask any questions. It's not, I want to do the will of exactly. He tells me to do it. And the other one, you can say that he has a mile also, that he's, what's his greatness? He says, I'm a servant. I'm going to do exactly what the king wants, but I need to find out what he wants from me.
Right.
100% to know what he wants from me.
That's why we learn Gemara.
ושלימה, the kevin should be to the merkava l'arichim. In 22 it says, the kevin should be to the merkava l'arichim, ולא מצד הרוצן את המרכבה, שעוז ביטל l'arichim ומרכבה אלו, מצד הריchim. So what is why the merkava is nullified to the rider? The chariot is nullified to the rider. The car is nullified to the driver. No matter who drives it, the car is going to do whatever you want. My car, if you drive it, it's still going to do it. Same thing.
Right.
Loch. So it's not that the car wants to be, has any rotzen to be nullified to the rider, or to be closer to the rider by being nullified to him. Lochem birusha ma'ove yisena merkovo. Yerusha ma'oves. Ein in merkovo. You have inheritance from our forefathers Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Kolul be'elem gabitul the Kabbalah said. When we are given from our forefathers, from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, when we receive from them Avos Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Yerusha, what is the Yerusha? What is the inheritance that we receive? One of the things that we received from them was also Kabbalah said.
Right.
Acceptance of the yoke. So it's not just Avos Hashem, but within this Avos Hashem, there's also the concept of Kabbalah said. When they said Nasa v'nishma, so there was a heavenly voice that came out and said, who taught my children the secret? Well, we'll see the fact that they said Nasa before Nishma, Shabit, or the Kabbalah said, but Atzmi Bitul Nalabi. It's a much greater Bitul, and that's why they said Nasa v'nishma. First we will do, and then we will hear Bitul Levala Rotzin. Bitul to the owner of the Rotzin, to Hashem. Walidei Gilav Mesuseres Ros. Through how the Jewish people were able to come up with this, to say Nasa v'nishma, because of Abba Mesuteres, because of the secret. Raz is a secret. Because of the secret, they were able to come up with that, with Nasa v'nishma. because they're Ava Mesuteres. Shleimar Shashayachus the Ava Mesuteres La'Kedomas Nasa Nishma. What's the connection between the hidden love to the statement Nasa V'Nishma? Bitul the Kabbalah said, nullification of accepting the yoke. Uki Ava Mesuteres Ibirushim Ava Yitzan Merkava. The hidden love was given to us from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Mizeh muvan. The nullification that was drawn down to Am Yisrael during the giving of the Torah, after they said Nasa before Nishma, it's a much greater bittul than Merkava itself. Interesting. Because if they had it, so it has to see it. If they already possessed it, we have to say that until they were elevated to a much higher level. So it's explaining it in Vavainyan, who the Isa Gemara. It's in the Gemara in Sukkah 28. Amru Olav al Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Shelo iniach davar gadol davar katan. Said he touched all areas of Torah. Davar gadol mas merkava. Davar katan avois da'aba v'rava. What is davar gadol? Mas merkava. Now we have to figure out why is mas merkava called davar gadol. V'may v'tanish mas merkava nikra davar gadol u'kadam merkava gadol marichel merkava mok ala merkava mok b'shenech lagesh mitzad atzmi. So Merkava is a place that takes you to places you couldn't reach on your own. You couldn't get there by yourself. So the car takes you there. And that's why Merkava is called Davar Gadol. Now, spiritually, Merkava Aliyeno Sha'achaz Nesakise, when you have the Chayos, you have the so-called animals, which is Malachim, carrying the throne. And the man that is upon the throne, they carry it to Bechinas Lo Odom. First it's Odomu. Right? It says, that takes it to a higher level, Odom. Primarily, to elevate a level of Odom to Loy Odom is primarily with the Merkava of Ovis. The chariot of the Ovis is accomplishing it. Merkava Ovis and in a Merkava Datzilus. Okay, so now he tells us there's different kinds of Merkavas, different kinds of chariots. There's chariots in Bria, there's chariots in Atzilus. Each one takes you to the next level. That's the purpose of Merkava. They take you from point A to point B. Point B has to be higher than point A. Okay, that's in general the idea that it tells us. Merkava takes you from point A to point B because point B is higher. Okay? Takes you to places you couldn't really get there on your own. Meaning, you can serve Hashem with Av and Yira, with your intellect. You're not going to get to a higher level unless you can be in a state of Merkava, in a state of Bitul. So Bitul is the chariot that takes you from one level to the next. Okay? In Kabbalistic terminologies, it takes you from a level of Adam to Loy Adam, meaning even higher than Adam. You have the four level, Adam, Gever, Ish, and Osh, right? Full title to men. Adam, Ish, Gever, and Osh. So, Adam is the highest. Adam Arishon, the first man, Adam, called Adam. Adam el-Elyon, similar to God. That's the idea of Adam. But he says, I'm taking you now to the level of Loy Adam, a higher level than Adam. How? Through the Merkava. The Merkava takes me to a higher level. So there's Merkava of Bria and there's Merkava of Atzilus. He says, Shalidei Merkava de Yetzira Siyar, Yisha Odom al Kisei, Odom Misal Daga Shebichas Lo Odom Gab Odom de Yetzira Siyar. So the Merkava of Bria will take you to Loy Odom that is in comparison to Bria Yetzira Siyar. Now, through the Oves, Merkava Atzilus, Now, Aliyah the B'chinas Odom da Atzilus B'chinas Lo Odom Shel Mayim Atzilus takes us to a level of Lo Odom Shel Mayim Atzilus, a level of Lo Odom that is higher than Atzilus, which is what is it? Arich takes you to Arich Hanpin, from something small to something bigger. Zeu Shmaisem Merkava Nikra Dover Godel. Ki Odom Zer Hanpin Mechat Katnu Tzimtzum. Odom is Zer Hanpin. Is Katnu, Tzimtzum, is smallness, contraction, contracted. Now, Adam Merkava Misal B'chinas Arich. Merkava takes me from Zer Hanpin to Arich Hanpin. Takes me from the small face to the bigger one. From a level of Odom to Lo Odom, even within Atzilus itself, takes you to a level that higher than Atzilus. Okay, Ratam, and why is it that we said Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara in Sukkah 28 says that Rabbi Yochanan also learned something that is small, and what is small? The teachings of Abai and Rava. Why do you call it small? It says, the teaching of Abai and Rava is the primary aspect of Torah Shabbat Peh, the oral Torah. Calling it small? He says, the laws of Torah were many times.
He's asking me that question on Shabbos. Who is the main ones for the Gemara? So it's Abaye and Rava.
It says, Ikar Torah Shabbat Peh. Primary oral Torah. It says, the laws of Torah are closed in small things. The Neis Alezeh, what does it mean, small things? The Neis Alezeh, mitzvahs lavshu dvom gashmim, although mitzvahs were enclosed in physical things. Chol mitzvah kama pirtu din. Every mitzvah has a few details. Every mitzvah has laws, right? The inya is chakus. So the moment that you have details, that's the contraction, that's the limitation. Katnus, smallness. Tzitzis has to have 8 strings, 4 on each side. That's the length. This is the amount of knots. This is the amount of yeah. So everything it has detail. The details are katnus. The details are causing it smallness. Difference between Ma'aseh Merkava to the teachings of Abai and Rava. It's from one extreme to the other. It's heaven and earth. The difference between Merkava and Abai and Rava. The teachings of Abai and Rava. The inyan Merkava, why it's b'chinas agbola. What is Merkava? Merkava takes you from a state of finitude to a state of infinitude. That's what Merkava is. The objective of Merkava is to take from a place of limitation to a place that is not limited, to a limitless situation. Lo yodamu. Okay? On the other hand, what is Abai and Rava teachings? Objective. The ultimate gadlus is something that is not limited. When it comes to the teachings of Rava, it's the opposite. The opposite. It's the taking the rotzen, the supernal will of God, something that is infinite, and putting it into a finite place, into something small. Take halacha, you put it into, now add details to it. And the details, as we said, is the symptom, is the limitation, is the contraction. Why is it called double cotton? It says because the Torah now is something small in comparison to the Pnimius HaTorah that will be revealed, the inner secrets of Torah that will be revealed in the time of Mashiach. Torah is also a moshel, is an analogy, a garment to Ein Sof that is enclosed in it. Shelo Chanikis Atira B'Shemo Shel HaKadmoni. That's why the Torah said it's a Moshe. Moshe HaKadmoni. It's a Moshe of Hashem. Kadmoni is referring to Hashem. It's a Moshe. What does it mean? She Moshe, it's an analogy of God. She Moshe L'Rushach HaKadmon Shelo. It's a garment to Hashem. Umoshe L'Gabe Nimsho Udover Kot. And the Moshe in comparison to it's like the analogy in comparison to the analog. Right? It's something small. The analogy is something small because you really want the person to understand the concept, the real concept they're trying to teach him.
Right.
So he says the Torah is a Moshe for Hashem. Why is the teachings of Abai and Rava called something small? Because it's going to be small in comparison to the teachings of Pnimus HaTorah, the teachings of Mashiach. Mashiach comes. Shleimah. The reason why the teachings of Abai and Rava called something small because the Torah was enclosed in small things, limiting things with very many details. So the title, something small, is because of the levushim, because of the garments. Loch and Meisif, Reb Marash, Torah now is considered small in comparison to the teaching of the time of Mashiach. Although it's something small in comparison to the infinite light that is vested in it. Seemingly, Dover Koton is said about the Torah itself. So the Torah was enclosed in small things. Shleimah, he wants to tell us the difference between the teachings of Abai and Rava, the Avodas, the Abai and Rava, the Ma'asim Merkava, Chilik min HaKotzel HaKotzel. I want to tell you that it's heaven and earth, the difference between Ma'asim Merkava, bittul of chariot that takes you from finite situation to infinite situation, versus the teachings of Abai and Rava that takes the infinite and bring it into the finite. It's exactly the opposite. My Merkava takes me from a finite state to an infinite state. The teaching of Abai Rava takes a finite concept and bring it into a finite situation. Limiting the finite, limiting the infinite, okay?
Yeah.
It takes the will of God, what's an alien, and they put it with details, and you have to, the box of tefillin has to be black, and it has to be seen outside, and the straps are going to be this width, and it's going to be that long, and everything has its measurements and details. So they're taking Rotzenel, which is infinite concept, the will of God, and into it now they are covering it up with all these details. So they're adding finite into the infinite, putting the infinite into a finite state.
But then when you make the bracha, then you're taking the finite up.
But it's something else. Talking about the actual
Okay,
learning, the learning of the halacha, learning of the learning of the machlokes with Abai and Rava, the Haneros and Abai and Rava. So he says, what is cotton? Cotton is bitter. Oh, within Vav. Zayin, I'm sorry. Zayin in Yudal. Right? When the Kud Mamshuk Maimer would be with Zeh Shatiro Nikres Dover Cotton. Hashem Eitzem bitul ha'alocha legaber and sefer melubash bo. So what does it mean? He adds another explanation. The Torah is called something small. What we said about Havayos, Abai and Rava. שעל שם עצם ביטול ההלכה לגבי הנסיף. The intensity of bitul halacha, the halacha is being nullified in comparison to the Ein Sof that is enclosed in it. The same way that our learning has to be in a state of bitul. That we are just repeating, that we are just repeating what Hashem is saying. Similarly, when it comes to the halachas, they are nullified to the infinite light that is enclosed in them. כדלקמן. Shleima, so halachas are nullified to the infinite light of Hashem that is enclosed in them. K'dekama. Shleima, Pirush Koton Kipshutei, Tel Dover Koton. What is a Tel? What is the title Dover Koton? Calling the Dover Koton v'yachs yanim acherim. In comparison to other things, how can you measure something small or big? In comparison to other, you're going to be considered tall to your next to a basketball player. You might feel yourself small, right?
Right.
So so our whole idea of big and small is when you're comparing it to other things.
Right.
Because this table is big, but in comparison to what?
Right.
Go to a conference room, you see a bigger table. So.
Right.
Pirush Koton Shemabitul Der Katentiv Chasodim. Koton is also because of bitul. He said, why is he Koton? Because he's nullified. Akatnus bitul be'atzmi. The bitul is by him himself. You need to understand. Pirush Koton Shemabitul. If you say that Koton is compared to in comparison to other things, there's bigger things, and he's Koton. He's small. That we can understand. But when you say that something is small because it's nullified, then the chariot itself is also nullified. What's the whole praise of a chariot? What do we say? What's so special about a chariot? That it's nullified to the rider. Right? We learned afterwards that it also takes you from A to B, and B is higher than A, and it takes you from a finitude state to an infinite state. Right, but if you tell me that something is given the name Koton because it's nullified, there was a big rabbi called Menashe Klein.
Yeah.
He wrote many books, so he used to call himself Menashe HaKoton. Klein is Koton.
Yeah.
But it's euphemism also to saying I'm humble. I'm not.
Yeah.
Involved with I don't care for honor or
Right.
Cotton. My last name is Akot. Klein. Klein means klein, small. So cotton means bitul, right?
Yeah.
If you say cotton means bitul, so what's the difference between cotton and merkava? It's all about the same thing. We said that the teachings of Rabbi and Rava are small, and Ma'aseh merkava is something big, because Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he didn't leave any areas in Torah. The big areas and the small things. The big subject and small subject. What is considered the big subject? Ma'aseh merkava. And what do we consider a small subject? The teachings of Rabbi and Rava. Why are we considering them small? Because if small is bitul, merkava is also bitul. They're both representing the same thing. So we'll continue this thing tomorrow, God willing. Test of Nikuda Sabir. Good morning, Jacques.
No, Jacques up.